Disclaimer. This episode contains graphic descriptions of violence that may be disturbing to some listeners. Please be advised.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up? Welcome to Pop, Crime, and Wine. Oh, yeah, I'm Taylor.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Amanda.
Did you just realize that you're Taylor?
I am, oh my gosh, I'm Taylor. No, I'm just kidding. But normally we say hi and then we say I'm Taylor, I'm Mandy, and then we go, this is Pop, Crime, and Wine.
Oh.
Either way.
But it's okay. We can switch it up, I guess.
They know.
And make people question who we are.
Oh, who
Mystery.
So existential.
We get so deep on this podcast.
Let's just start by talking about the meaning of life.
Why is the sky blue?
What? Wow.
Is it though?
But
Or did we just decide it was blue?
What is blue?
Yeah.
Is your blue the same as my blue?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. Taylor
Strange
thinks
to
that
think
things
about.
are more teal whenever they could definitely be more like turquoise.
Oh my gosh. We don't have to get into this again.
We have to go on like Google and Google
And like
turquoise
post a picture.
yeah.
This is like the dress. Is it white or is it
Except
blue
for it's
and black?
just you
No, it's not. It's not just me.
that thinks certain things are teal.
She's
No,
an
it's
artist.
just- it was that one time we went to the fair. And
I'm an
I saw
artist.
a car that was it was teal.
It was definitely more turquoise.
And she's like, oh wait,
or it was like blue.
you
or
thought it was
something.
blue and I thought it was teal, right?
Or, I don't know.
The
I
pen
don't know.
was
Either way, it doesn't
blue.
matter.
It was a long argument that happened like 7 years ago. And we're gonna constantly bring it up.
It's so long ago we don't even remember what it was about.
What color?
so-
It was probably like white. It's like a white car.
Well, then, yeah, that would be worrisome if you thought that a white car was anything other than white.
Taylor has gotten glasses since this argument. so.
But it's only for an astigmatism and has nothing to do with my actual eyesight. So
Get out of
let's
here with
get
your
into
astigmatism.
who are. It's a
Oh, yeah,
serious issue.
stigmatize.
Who's our sponsor?
that a real word?
No,
Okay.
no, I made it up.
Stigmatize. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Because there's an I and a
The
stigmatize.
Latin
you
way
get
of
it?
saying it.
I got it.
Do you get it?
Shop Candace.
Shut up, Candace.
So this week our sponsor is my own flesh and blood.
You are the sponsor?
No. We share some DNA somewhere. My cousin Megan, Megan Sismosky,
Woo, Megan.
Hey, Megan.
she is up in Wisconsin not really near my hometown anymore. She's up in Stevens Point area. And the wine that she got for us is Horseshoes and Handgrenades. And I think it's a cab, yeah?
It is an American red wine bottled by Mason Noir Wines, Dundee,
Beautiful.
Oregon. Ooh,
The label is very cool. I'm
It's
excited for you guys
beautiful.
to see it.
Yeah. You ready for this?
Ready. That was really good.
Wow.
We should save that one. Clip it. Save it.
Done.
Yep.
That should just be our intro from now on. Instead
Yeah.
of music, it'll just be like pop. Except
that go?
better. Pop.
That was good.
That was good. It was
That's-
exactly
yeah,
the way I
exactly
said
the
it the first
same.
time. I'm really good with consistency.
Oh. That was perfect.
Even if
picture
we
for-
didn't talk about pop culture, we could still call this pop,
Pop.
crime and wine.
Oh,
Because of the pop.
that's super true.
Yeah.
super true. Not just true.
It's super true.
Super duper.
Uber. What we should start bringing back is Uber true.
No, because now Uber is a car thing.
Unless you're
ruined
like my
it.
cousin who says Uber.
Uber. Yeah, we did
I'm-
touch on that once.
Uber.
Uber.
I'm uber excited about taking this Uber. That
No.
sounds cool.
No, it doesn't.
Let's be
no,
real.
it doesn't. Don't lie.
Oh yeah.
I actually used to say that, and God, just some of the shit that I said back in high school and middle school. I just have so many regrets. I have regrets, honestly.
Regrets.
Regrets.
I love that it's an
Regrets.
American red wine. I also love
Yeah, it's American because Megan does love some red,
America?
white, and
America?
blue shit
And it literally has a hand grenade
and a horseshoe.
and a horseshoe on the front. It's
very
really
strong.
beautiful.
I also like that it is in Dundee. It was
Oh,
made
gosh.
in Dundee, and it makes me think of the
Crocodile?
Office.
Oh.
Oh.
Dundees.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that what they're called?
Crocodile
the Dundees?
Dundee. Yeah, the Dundee Awards.
Yeah. I feel like we're having an award.
Oh, we are every
In
day.
a cup.
And it tastes delicious.
An
I
award
was
in a
going
cup.
for Crocodile Dundee.
Let's talk about pop culture.
Oh, yeah. Pop.
And since it's not me, it's both of you. Me being Mandy. In case anyone
We thought we would get really
doesn't know.
deep. Super
Yeah.
deep. Uber deep, if you
Uber
will.
deep. Oh God, this is gonna be a thing now.
Okay. So we had pop
Oh, this
culture.
wine. I'm sorry. This wine is fantastic.
Oh, I haven't even tried it. Let me do that.
I'm a fan.
So good.
Thanks, Megan. Love ya.
Ooh, that is really good.
It's real smooth.
But it's also like a little peppery.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's not too sweet.
Yeah. It's not sweet at all. It's like nice and it's like a blanket
Oaky.
a blanket of
Like
oak.
nutty.
It's got a good afterbirth.
Afterbirth.
Afterwards.
We've already made this
But it's
joke.
still funny.
We can't,
Sorry,
we
I already
can't
said
keep bringing it up.
I said something about The Office, and that's where my
Yeah,
mind is going to
yeah.
be for the rest of
Absolutely.
this episode.
Also, Toby was the Scranton Strangler, let's be honest.
Oh, we all know.
Okay. All right. So pop culture. What you got? I'm excited.
We decided to ask the question, is love a feeling or is it a choice?
Oh, that is existential. Existential. Existential.
Existential.
So the topic came to us by way of one of my best friends, Marjorie. She read this BuzzFeed article because she and I have had this conversation a lot, and she sent me this BuzzFeed article. And so we're going to start with there was a girl on Tumblr that posted this question, and she went off on like kind of a tangent, and Tumblr like blew up over it. So.
Tumblr blows up over a lot.
Do
of
I
things.
need to have a Tumblr?
No.
Is that still a thing?
No.
I think
'Cause-
it is.
You have one?
I mean, I have one. I go on it sometimes. It's not like, I don't know, maybe that's why I'm more pop culture.
I've never
than
had
you guys.
one. Should I get one?
That's the thing. I used to have one. And I thought it was really cool because,
I mean, I
can-
like Reddit.
See, I can't
well,
follow
Tumblr's
Reddit very
more a
easy.
visual thing,
Yeah.
whereas Reddit is more of like you read strings of conversations
like-
and shit.
Yeah.
And I like both of those things, so.
Oh.
But I wouldn't put them on the same playing field. I think Tumblr is where people make really cool pictures and they put their favorite quotes on them, and then that's where you find all these cool, like artsy looking visualizations.
All right, people of the universe, tell us if you guys have a Tumblr and whether it's worthwhile having.
Yeah, do
Write
we need
in.
one?
Tell
Make
us.
us one.
Make us
Oh,
one.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, so her name is A Cute Lesbian, and she posted, "A lot of people ask me what my biggest fear is or what scares me most, and I know they expect an answer like heights or closed spaces or people dressed like animals, but how do I tell them that when I was 17, I took a class called Relationships for Life, and I learned that most people fall out of love for the same reasons they fell in it. That their lover's once endearing stubbornness has now become refusal to compromise, and their one-track mind is now immaturity, and their bad habits that you once adored is now money down the drain. Their spontaneity becomes reckless and irresponsible, and their feet up on your dash is no longer sexy, just another distraction in your busy life. Nothing saddens and scares me like the thought that I can become ugly to someone who once thought all the stars were in my eyes."
Oh, God.
Damn, that's some sad shit.
Yeah.
It's real rough.
Yeah.
So then there, like, people were like, wow, this is so depressing, but it's like, I feel it. And
Yeah.
so
Very
then
relatable.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to read her response. Like, she came back with something, and then I think we should go into how we feel.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Mhm.
So then she came back later and she said, "I never expected this to be my most popular poem out of the hundreds I've written. I was extremely bitter and sad when I wrote this, and I left out the most beautiful part of the class. After my teacher introduced us to this theory, she asked us, is love a feeling or is it a choice? We were all a bunch of teenagers. Naturally, we said it was a feeling. She said that if we clung to that belief, we'd never have a lasting relationship of any sort. She made us interview a dozen adults who were or had been married, and we asked them about their marriages and why it lasted or why it failed. At the end, I asked every single person if love was an emotion or a choice. Everybody said that it was a choice. It was a consensus, or no, not a consensus. I don't know how to read. It was a conscious commitment.
Close.
A consensus commitment.
Consensus conscious commitment. It was something you choose to make work every day with a person who has chosen the same thing. They all said that at one point in their marriage, the feeling of love had vanished or faded and they weren't happy. They said feelings are always changing and you cannot build something that will last on such a shaky foundation. The married one said that when things were bad, they chose to open the communication, chose to identify what broke and how to fix it, and chose to recreate something worth falling in love with. The divorced one said they chose to walk away. Ever since that class, since that project, I never looked at relationships the same way. I understood why arranged marriages were successful. I discovered the difference in feelings and commitments. I've never gone for the person who makes my heart flutter or my head spin. I've chosen the people who are committed to choosing me, dedicated to finding something to adore even on the ugliest days. I no longer fear the day someone who swore I was their universe can no longer see the stars in my eyes, as long as they still choose to look until they find them again.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
it's
I
very
like that.
beautifully written.
Just need a moment to like soak that in.
Yeah, I like to be able to find something to adore even
Yeah.
on the ugliest
Yeah.
days is really nice.
I liked the searching until they find them again too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Because it's hard to remember. I don't know. We're all newlyweds, so I feel like
Yeah, we're still in the honeymoon.
we're still in the honeymoon phase
But-
of.
While that's being said, I did actually think about on our vows, Sam and I, we ended up saying, instead of oh, will you, in sickness and health and blah, 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 at the end we ended up saying, I promise to love and accept your perfections and your imperfections equally forever. So I thought that there was something
That's
really,
really nice.
you realize that the other person isn't the perfect human. You
Right.
know that there are flaws and you know that there are things that are going to get on your nerves or you're going to, end up disliking them at times, but committing yourself to accepting that person for who they are.
Well, and that's
is,
where communication is such a big deal, because when you're not feeling that honeymoon phase and you're like, I need this from you, or could we do this, or can you not say this, or whatever, just being
able to
so
talk about
vocal about what you like and don't like, because everybody's changing all the time and you're going to change as people in your relationship. So, you're not even going to be the same person you were 5 years from now. So
That's true.
and your significant other isn't either. So you're going to grow separately and together. So it is definitely constantly a choice.
That was in our vows. We said that we were to
Really?
we promised to grow together, not apart.
Right.
Yeah, that was, we did a unity plant.
Yeah.
to-
that's
Oh,
right.
your love
I
for
love
yeah.
that.
we planted a peace lily, and we used dirt from both of our childhood homes.
That was so sweet.
That was
And-
really cool.
But we it was more just to remember that, number one, we want to grow together, and then also that marriage takes work, and it's not you can't just keep a plant alive if you just
right.
put it there. You have to water it and feed it and do all the things.
Make sure
Like
it's
a
enough
child.
sunlight. Yeah, it is.
Or a husband.
Or a
So.
husband. Got to keep
You
your
must
husband
water
alive.
him every
Feed him.
morning and every night.
Oh,
Ah.
I love that though. I think also in our generation, it is just so we've talked about this before. It's just so easy to find something else or someone else that makes you happy for a little bit, because if you're feeling sad, you can get instant gratification other places or in someone else, and you have to choose to. Why am I on? You're looking at me like I just.
I didn't want to jump in and
Oh.
completely
You can.
interrupt you, but it reminds me of the show that we were watching earlier today called Bachelor in
Oh
Paradise.
God.
Okay.
Don't tell people that. That's supposed to be our secret.
I was
Everybody
not part
knows.
of this. I was not.
TT and I live together.
Listen.
We're roommates.
Amanda does not watch any of those shows.
But she would if she lived with us.
Don't lie.
And she probably
Don't
does
sit
on
there.
the down low.
No, I don't. I have never, ever
You
in my
watched
life
The
watched
Bachelor with us.
I watched 2 episodes with you.
But
and
you loved every minute
No,
of it.
I didn't. I watched you guys crying and it made me laugh. That's what I liked about
It's
it.
okay. If it's a happy
So this episode, actually, this episode and the episode before it were very much into this type of conversation,
Right.
where these people have formed bonds with other people who are there in paradise, and then
Looking for love.
What they do is they introduce these new people every week, and so they're constantly being, what's the word I'm
It's
thinking
like
of?
tested.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
constantly being tested with like beautiful women and hunky men.
Yeah.
And, like going out on dates with them and being like, this is so exciting. And then coming back and realizing that that person isn't all that exciting. It's just
Yeah.
because it's the first date that you're having aside from, the person you've been hanging out for 3 weeks. It's,
And that's the
or
part that
however
baffles
long.
me about it. They're like, I think I could fall in love with this person. I think I could see myself. And it's like, after day 2, like, you just don't know.
There's always something that's going to be shinier.
Yes.
And newer and possibly more exciting. But
Yep.
then in the end of it, the shine wears off on everyone.
Absolutely.
You have to learn how to love your partner
and
for who they are and
I-
not be sidetracked.
I found that in my studies for this. I was on like a psychology website and they were talking about how it's easy to fall in love. And I know that personally as a female, I think that, I don't know if I can say, as me, my person, like
Yes.
as myself, when I get attention from other people, which I think is like a human nature,
Yeah.
it makes you feel good inside. Like,
Absolutely.
I want someone to tell me that I'm pretty, and I want someone to like, and we pretend like we don't want to hear it, but everybody wants to be told that they're pretty.
Absolutely.
And once you have that, like all of that attention in the beginning, it's so easy to be like, wow, I feel so good about myself. And that elated feeling makes you like them even more because they're making you feel good about yourself. So I think that that's a lot of the things that come with when you fall in love with someone in the beginning, because it's so easy to fall in love. Like, you can literally fall in love with anyone. No, who is it that I should have found that? But there's, I think, is it F. Scott Fitzgerald that says that there's no 2 loves are the same? Who's our
Possibly.
fact checker?
We
We don't have one of those yet.
Chuck.
Chuck,
Chuck the dog.
Do the Google.
do the Google.
Do the Google with your paws.
But like, anyone can fall in love. You
That-
can easily fall in love, but no 2 loves are the same. And how like once you get past that like really excited like honeymoon stage of relation, and that's like any relationship in the beginning is gonna be like, you're gonna be so happy and you're gonna like, and I think that apparently Bachelor in Paradise just like rushes.
You're gonna
that.
watch it now?
I'm not gonna watch
You're
it.
gonna
you
watch
want
it.
to.
No.
You want to, though, deep down.
No, because I don't believe that you can fall in love on TV.
What about the
Well,
people
I
who
don't-
have children now who did it? There are so many of them.
You can also get paid a lot of money.
A blind pig can find a truffle, as they say.
I do think, okay, so that reminds me of something that I read years ago. It's, I wish I would have known that I was going to bring this up before we sat down, but it was a really cool article about how you can sit down in a pub or on a bench with some random person you don't know, and you ask these 30 questions to each other, and you could easily just fall in love with that person. Like,
Wow.
oh, I'm wishing that
I saw a thing
There's like a
too,
science
where
to
like
it.
there was
Yeah.
one that they did a couple years ago where you had to sit and like just stare into each other's eyes for 5 minutes and like with no
I'd be out.
and like nothing
I
interrupting.
can't, like, I have a hard
but
time
it,
with
like,
eye contact.
But just having that eye contact, I can't even keep eye contact
brings
with you
you
guys.
close.
It's such an intimate thing
Yeah.
that like you can fall in love with someone just from staring into their
That's
eyes for
crazy.
5 minutes straight, which is because you like, I don't know, you're staring into their soul. I feel
Well, and
like.
I like, and I don't know how to say this. When I'm in conversations with people, even though I don't really enjoy eye contact, when somebody else is when I'm talking, I don't like to look at people. But when somebody is talking to me, I'm like intent. I'm like, I want them to know that I'm
And you're like,
listening.
look at me.
Yeah, and sometimes I guess that can be taken differently.
I enjoy a good eye contact just because I want to
nice
know that
connection.
person is connecting to what I'm saying. And if they're looking off, I feel like whatever I'm saying is unimportant. And
Yeah.
True.
it's no good.
We are sitting in a new position today, and I
Yep.
found myself like I normally am able to look at both of you without having to turn my head. And
it's
now
difficult.
Taylor and I are sitting next to each other looking at Mandy. And so I have, in the past like
It's all about
10 minutes, I literally have felt myself like just turning my head back and forth. And I was going to make a joke
Are
about
you
it
dizzy?
earlier about how like I literally just keep moving my head. And so much so that I noticed how I
Yeah.
keep turning back and forth over and over. Like I look like a crazy person.
No.
And then we started talking about this, and it's because I have to look at you when you're talking, or
Yeah.
I don't listen fully.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at both of you without turning my head at all. So,
Hey, girl.
hey,
Hey.
girl, hey.
I do think, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think that you could have like a separate life with someone else entirely and you'd be happy. Like there's not
don't think
one
there's a soulmate.
specific person for you, but there are people who can make you happier than others.
I think that you have multiple soul mates, and not just in the romantic fashion either. I think that
like
you have
friends,
soulmates
like
and
bosom.
friends.
What are they
And,
called? Bosom friend? Is that
Bosom buddies.
oh God, bosom buddies.
Anne of Green Gables? Come on.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, but I think that you can go your whole life and find people, and also, I mean, relationships come and go in your life. It's constantly an ebb and flow, of connections. So, if you're lucky, you get like 1 to 5 people
Yeah.
that stay.
I will say, whenever I dated people in the past, I was never initially like, this person is my person, And
Yeah.
I feel like when I started dating my husband, I knew within the first like day or two.
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
did.
this
I was
guy
there.
I think I love him. Like,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
You guys had
So-
such a cute love story.
Yeah.
I was not like that with Mark at all.
No, you guys, you guys were like the long term, like the long haul.
Yeah,
The
8 months
long
of
con.
making out, and we're like, oh, I think I like you.
Yeah, but like, let's not talk about it with anyone else
Yeah.
for a while.
Maybe we should start dating.
Maybe we should date. Okay.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah, this will work out.
You want to make out now?
Uh,
You want to do the sex?
Yeah. Oh, not the sex. We
Oh.
didn't do the sex until we were married.
Okay.
Oh, now I'm really.
I'm
red.
sweaty. I'm so sweaty. Oh God. Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, I don't believe in soulmates either. Like, I think that you do have to choose. Like I said before, I think it's so easy to fall for someone. And then after that, I think that love is both a feeling and a choice. And all of my research has made me think that, because I think that in the beginning, you do have that fleeting feeling. You get the butterflies. You like want to, like, there is that feeling like of, I don't know how to explain. I don't think that anyone can truly explain what it's
That's
like.
why love
Yeah.
is such a baffling subject to
Well,
everybody.
So the definition of love, according
All right,
to Miriam,
Wikipedia. Oh.
yeah, I actually really like looking up definitions and then kind of
Going from there.
dissecting almost. But they say it's an intense feeling of deep affection, a warm affection or devotion. And Urban Dictionary says love is a misunderstanding between two fools.
I like that.
Terrible.
I like that better.
It's really good, but it's also like it's sad. Yeah, it's real
Aw.
sad. But I agree. I think love in the beginning is a feeling, and then after that initial stage, it is a choice. It's like you choose to keep loving someone, because it's easy to fall out of love with someone. It's easy to like, you can con yourself into thinking
Yeah.
things are deal breakers when they're not, like snoring or, chewing with your mouth open.
That would
and
be a deal breaker. I would leave it immediately.
the chewing.
Yep.
You don't like chewing.
I don't.
I can just be eating chips with my mouth closed and you're like giving me the death stare.
I do not.
The serious
I
death
might
stare.
get up and go to my room.
I've never felt so uncomfortable chewing chips in front of anyone in my life. And so I try and do it really slowly, and I try and do it very like with my mouth
It's a thing.
super closed.
It's a thing that people have.
So
It's a hatred of sound, and chewing is just the worst for me.
So going back to what you said about the
Right.
definition,
Yeah.
I found an article in Time magazine, and they talked about how it's time to change the meaning of the word love. The word is mostly used according to the first definition given in the dictionary. In other words, love is what one feels. After years spent speaking with couples before, during, and after marriage, and of talking to parents and children struggling with their relationships, I am convinced of the partiality of the definition. Love should be seen not as a feeling, but as an enacted emotion. To love is to feel and act lovingly. And I thought
That's very sweet.
That's nice.
well, because I think that we do like what we keep saying is that it's like a feeling and an action, like a choice. And so I think that it should altogether, that should be what it is in general.
I think love isn't the choice. The choice is staying true, and the choice is being present, and, you know, being loving, the action of being loving and being caring
like
and
that.
being, you know, like,
I said in my vows, in one part of my vows, which I wrote the morning of my wedding because I wanted it to be exactly how I was feeling that day, which they turned out pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, they were all right.
Shut your
I'm
mouth.
just kidding.
But in this one part, I meant it wholeheartedly because everybody has shit, everybody has baggage. But I said, you know, I'm just thankful that you love me even on the days that I don't love myself.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I like totally feel that 100% because there are days that I just don't want to adult. I don't want to do anything with my life. And that other person kind of has to like scoop you up and like be your person and be loving and take care of you, you know, for as long as you need that. So I think that love isn't just the feeling, this like the solitary, like I feel this. It's like a constant, I love you, so I'm going to do this for you and I'm going to take care of you. And so I think love is it's a constant giving.
And kind of filling in where you may have faults.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I think it's a give and take. I did read something else about how whenever you're unhappy in a relationship, because everybody goes through unhappy stages, and I think that's the difference between people that stay married or the people that don't. And and what I read was that like whenever you are unhappy, to start seeing like to remember what can I do for my significant other instead of like what can they be doing for me. And I think that whenever you try and, which I think is also a very hard thing to think of, but I think that if you consciously think that way, because it goes back to what we talked about in other episodes about love languages and like, am I speaking to them in the love language that they hear, or what can I do to like help this relationship? And I do think that it goes
Giving
both
to
ways.
people makes you feel good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's my favorite part of Christmas is literally seeing
people
like
open.
and be like, I did this for you, and I just want you because I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
And I think that goes in relationships.
And also writing down. I've found that it's really nice to write down, keep like a running list of all the things that person does to make you happy. So when you do have bad days and you have days where you're like questioning anything, you could literally just look down and be like, oh, okay. Like I have
real cute.
that little sugar jar over there.
Yes.
Open up the top, and it was a gift that he gave me that there are a bunch of papers in it. And every time I'm having a bad day, I open it up and I pull it out, and like one will say, I love you, da 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 da. Or remember when we ran in the park and da 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 da. Or
that's
when we did
adorable.
this. It's like,
Is that where Chuck Zoomies is in there?
Yeah.
Chuck Zoomies.
Mandy's dog Chuck, like every time she poops.
Yeah.
Well, not every time, but most of the time. She'll like just run around like
she just
crazy.
goes batshit crazy for like 30 seconds.
Call them zoomies. And they make me so happy. And so he wrote that down. That's one of them.
It makes me happy then. Like secondary happiness.
But going back to the soulmate kind of topic, I was talking to my friend Stevie Jewell. She's a musician. You should check her out. She's awesome.
She just got married.
She did. Everybody's getting married.
Marriage.
So what brings us here
Together today.
Oh my goodness.
Love.
Sweet
love.
Oh yeah, it's true. Sorry.
Sorry.
But I was talking to her the other day because we had like a girls' night, and we kind of talked about this, and I wanted her to send over kind of like a brief description of what she was talking about, because it was like blowing my mind a little bit. I've never actually thought of the world in this way. This is a little bit deeper than the love conversation. It's kind of like a soulmate conversation.
Okay.
But this is what she sent back to me. She said, disclaimer, these are my beliefs based on educating myself through Abraham Hicks, Dr. Michael Beckwith, and other various sources. So she says, you chose your experience before you came to this planet. You wanted to experience love in a certain way. And so when you meet someone and you quote unquote just know, it's because it's an aligning experience for your soul with what you came here asking for and knowing you wanted. The energies or people you meet and connect with here are energies that have been part of your continuing soul experience. And so in the way that Taylor, I met Sam, you would have always met Sam's energy because you set out with that intention, and that's what attracted it to you.
Wow.
She believes that we're all like energies somewhere else,
Yeah.
and we choose to come to this planet, and like we know that we're going to meet that certain specific person. I don't necessarily believe this, but it's a really interesting thing
yeah.
to think
It's
about.
beautiful.
It reminds me of that not to bring up like the Twilight author, what's her name?
Stephanie
Stephanie
Meyer.
Myers. Yeah.
Yep, she wrote
sad that
she
I
wrote a
know
book
that.
called The Host,
Oh yeah, I remember
yeah.
that book.
and I
never
read
read
it,
it.
and
I
it's
read
very
it.
similar to that.
Yeah.
Where you choose the planet you're going to, where Stevie believes that you know that you're going to meet that specific energy there, and you're just
Interesting.
living your life out in these like weird human bodies instead of the previous bodies you were in.
I mean, I believe that we're energy. Like, because not to get like too political, but I believe that when we die, I think our bodies don't mean anything at that point.
Yeah.
That's just how I believe. But I do believe that our energy, it's kind of the law of energy is you can't create it or destroy it. So it has to go somewhere. And so I think that we are, we don't just go away. And I also think that it's residual energy. It's just a constant flow. So
yeah.
I think that's a really neat concept to think that it's already set, that like, you're already attracted to each other. You just have to like find each
Yeah.
other. I think that's a neat idea.
So I've never thought of it in the love perspective, but it's funny that we're having this discussion because I just finished reading a book called You're a Badass.
Oh yeah.
And it's talking about how to make your life better. And I talked to a life coach at one point, and she was talking about how no matter what you believe in, you can't deny this energy in the world, in the universe. And how if a lot of women say, oh, I don't want to be like my mom, I don't want to be like my mom, or I date the same kinds of guys all the time, why do I attract these terrible guys? And then it just keeps happening, and it's like, I don't want to be like my mom, but I'm exactly like my mom. Like, you wake up one day and you're like, what happened? Like, I didn't want to be like her and I'm just like her. Or I always date like shitty guys, and why do I keep dating them? Like, where do they keep coming from? And she was talking about how whatever you put out into the world, it's like what you're inviting to come in. And if you think about those negative things and that's all you think about, then that's what's going to happen. And so she said, if you don't want to be like your mom, then think about like the reasons that you do want to be like your mom, or think about the qualities of a guy that you do want to date. And that's what you'll start attracting. And in the book, and that always stuck with me, like it helps me through a lot. And in the book that I was reading, she talks about how literally it doesn't matter what you believe in, you can't deny that there's this greater energy, just like what I said. And she was saying that there's a difference between wanting something and deciding that you're going to have it. And once you start deciding, then you start your own energy, and you start it moving. And it goes back to the law of physics. If you're not moving, nothing happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So like you have to start moving, and so you have to decide like what you want. And it's taken me 28 years to truly decide like what I want in life. Or like we have like I think that we're always on a journey to better ourselves, or we should always be on a
absolutely.
journey to better ourselves. And I think that the people that aren't bettering themselves they're not moving. They go through more struggles because they're not moving.
And self-reflecting is self-reflecting, I think, is a version of moving that's not, you're not actually moving. Like for me, that was like super recent, where I just stepped back and I was like, what am I doing? Because I just felt stuck. I felt like I wasn't actually moving. And then I just stopped trying to like push through that, and I just stopped thinking about it so much. And I was just like, what do I actually want out of life, and what do I want out of a career? What do I want to do with my life? I'm only 26, so like I have plenty of time to figure it out, but it's, you want to be happy. You're constantly on a journey to be happy too. So, I finally figured that out because I just let myself rest for a little bit.
And I think it's hard, like going back to the whole love conversation, I think it's hard for us to love other people until we learn to love ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through these different things to be able to love ourselves, so that we can choose to love the person that we're with. And you also have to choose to love yourself.
Exactly. And I feel like dating all the wrong people is a good thing.
Right.
It's okay to date people that you don't, because what if your first relationship was the perfect one, was the right one?
How would you know?
How would you know? Exactly.
Yeah.
How would you even, you'd be a couple years into it and be like, well, is this exactly, what
Am
I want?
Am I settling for
Is
anything?
this-
Like, is there certain things that I could have better?
Exactly. And if
whatever.
you date 10 people first and they're all like shit bags, then you're like, oh my God,
This
I hit
guy
the
is heaven,
jackpot.
which is how we all feel.
But there are people that marry their first boyfriend or girlfriend, and they learn, like,
That's
some
fine.
people make it work and some people don't. And so I'm interested in how they decide that they're going to keep choosing to do that.
Well, and that's why it is a choice. It's a choice to be like, okay, I have it good, and I'm going to stick with this. I'm not going to be ruining this.
Not the
because
gambling type.
Exactly. Yeah, you could ruin everything and then never be happy again. That's real sad.
That would be. That made me think of so right before Nathan and I met, I was finally at a place that I had dated some shitbags, and I dated some guys that weren't shitbags, but also I knew weren't right for me, kind of thing. And I just kind of decided that I didn't want to like actively pursue it. And I was like, you know what? I'm fine being by myself.
Yep.
Like I feel good. I feel happy. And I was in such a good place. I just got a dog. Like, Chuck came into my life. Thank the universe for that. But, and that was literally right before I met Nathan, because I was like, I want to just chill and wait for that for this person. Like, and then all of a sudden, poof.
There he was.
Shit, there he
Right,
was.
that's what they always say. Once
I
you
know.
stop looking for it.
I think it's a cliche until it happened to me.
Yeah. It's
And
weird.
I wasn't looking, and I wasn't, and I was like, oh, I'm going to take this super slow because, like, I just want to make sure that this is what I want. And then it was just like he checked all the boxes, and it just ended up happening. So
It's funny how that works.
it's funny. Funny, haha.
Funny, haha.
I really loved the way that they said this. And this was on that psychology website that I found. And it said, love is all about choices. We choose to see the good, ignore the petty, look for what we could do for our partner, and remember why we love our partner. Choosing to put in the effort to do these things is what love looks like. And with that work comes the wonderful reward of staying in love.
I love it. I love love.
Love.
I love it.
I love it so much.
I do want to hear if there are listeners out there who married their first love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to.
I mean, good for
I want
you
people
guys.
to like write into us. We do have people that write in and like tell us, they like a podcast or whatever. Thanks for the recommendation on the wine and stuff like that. But, you guys are more than welcome to add to the conversation.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those things that we have decided what we think love is, but I think everybody has their own opinion and what they think as well. So, like, we wouldn't have ever known Stevie's if
I had randomly, I don't even know how we got onto that topic that
See,
night.
that's crazy.
But it just blew my mind. I was like, I can't even believe that's, although I guess when you think about it, religion is a strange concept to grasp. If you
is.
didn't grow up with it, you're like, oh, there's a guy up in the sky who like looks down on us and
there's
makes
this
sure that we're good.
Fancy
and,
place at the end when you die. And
yeah, like it is kind of like an
Yeah.
extravagant story,
It's an experience.
fairy tale that people tell you. I'm not sure what exactly I believe, and I'm not going to get into that now because we're not talking about that.
No, that's
But
fine.
This is it's a similar vibe of a story.
Yeah. We don't know.
We have no idea. Nobody
We
knows,
can just
I
think what we
guess.
think.
Yep, I like that.
I love it.
What do we got for crime?
Crime.
It sounds a little bit like a screaming goat.
Yeah.
I think I'm off tonight. I was screaming a lot, screaming Celine Dion songs last night.
That's
at
true.
Beyond the Edge.
We're all
So,
a little hungover.
Yeah,
It's fine.
this morning was rough. Like,
Which is why I'm glad we're drinking like a quality wine
This is-
right now
yeah.
because it would taste 10 times worse
Yep.
if it was just like a cheapo wine.
like
is
$2
great.
Chuck. Like this.
It is funny that
perfect.
this is the slowest any of us have ever drank.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
still have plenty of wine.
It,
Yep.
but it also tastes so good. I want to like
I want to chug
savor it. Yeah.
it. Oh,
Oh,
we enjoy things differently. I'm a glutton, I guess. I love this, so I want all of it right now
In my mouth.
in my mouth.
I want it to last as long as possible.
Yeah.
yeah.
Gosh.
I'll just be
All right.
somewhere in between there.
Okay, Goldilocks. All right. So this week on crime, I wanted to tell the story of Gertrude Banaszewski,
Who's that?
who is also known as the torture mother.
Oh gosh.
Torture mother.
Is that
Yeah.
Mother Dearest?
No.
Oh.
No
okay.
more wire hangers.
Nope.
Oh man.
Okay, tell us about her.
No, but they have like so many stories on that. I didn't want to try to compete with that.
Is
They
that
have
a true story?
yeah.
Mother Dearest?
Yeah.
I think
That's
so.
on like Netflix. They have a brand new documentary and stuff. Yeah.
What?
Anyway,
I know what
this
I'm
is-
watching
this is
tonight.
about Gertrude. Yeah, I do want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. So
Gertie.
Yeah, you're not gonna like Gertie. Gertrude Banaszewski, which
She has a pretty cool name.
yeah, very Polish. So that's the only reason that I knew how to say it. Gertrude was born in 1928, so this was a little while ago. Not much is known about her childhood other than that she was close to her father, who died of a heart attack in 1939 when she was just 11 years old. She was the third of 6 children. In 1945, at age 16, she dropped out of high school and married 18-year-old John Banaszewski, who worked as a deputy of the town that they lived in. They had 4 children together, but they divorced after 10 years in 1955. She briefly married a man named Edward Guthrie, but they divorced after only 3 months. He told her he didn't want to be in charge of another man's horde of children, is what he said.
Wait, how many children did she
6.
have? 6.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Pay attention, TT.
Sorry. I'm bad with details.
Well, no, it's just 4.
Oh, no.
Oh, look who's bad at details. It's Amanda.
Yeah, 4 children together.
Wait, or did you say 6? And it's
No, I
actually
said 4.
Okay.
I was just trying to think because then okay, then here we go. Well, that was foreshadowing though on your end. Okay, so she had 4 children. She married Edward for 3 months and then divorced her. John and Gertrude remarried after she had divorced this other guy, and then they had 2 more kids together.
Oh wow.
So,
Who's
He
the
must be a
smart one
very
now?
fertile man.
well, yeah, or she was super fertile.
They're both very fertile.
I was gonna say like Fertile Myrtle, but her name is Gertrude.
Gertie, yeah.
Ferdy Gertie.
Oh God,
And we haven't finished our wine.
nope, not enough, not nearly enough for this. So they remarried and had 2 more kids together, but then they divorced again in 1963. Gertrude was
Oh,
she
my
was
dad was
fucked
born
up.
that
Like
year.
she was not in a good place in her personal life. So at the age of 37, she moved in with 23-year-old Dennis Lee Wright.
Ooh, robbing the cradle.
Absolutely.
Cougar.
And they had 1 child together, a son named Dennis Lee Wright Jr. His dad abandoned both Gertrude and his infant son shortly after he was born. Altogether, Gertrude had 13 pregnancies, 6 miscarriages, and 7 surviving children. She was left destitute She was left destitute in a rundown house in Indianapolis with 7 children to support on her own.
Oh
Always
gosh.
in Indiana.
You know, yeah, if I were to have
Oh yeah,
7
my last
children
thing was in Indiana.
all by myself, I wouldn't want to be in Indiana.
Well,
No offense to the Indianians, but I went
Indianians.
Indianians.
I thought you were just going to say Indians.
I went to college there for a year, and it was pretty
Really?
terrible there. Yeah,
I have family there.
I was in Muncie though, so that's probably
Well,
the worst part.
there's country songs about Muncie, Indiana.
I think it's all pretty much cornfields.
Muncie, Indiana.
I have family in Indiana, and it's pretty terrible there too.
I mean, I just have to drive through it on 65.
It's
get to
fun
Wisconsin.
sometimes to drive
I
through
hate
because
it.
they have really interesting trees.
Really? That's their highlight?
That's the
They have
highlight reel.
interesting trees.
It's probably because you go through Kentucky and there's like no trees, so
I
then
like-
you're like,
No,
"Ooh,
Kentucky's
trees."
prettier than Indiana by far.
I would stop on the side of the road and take pictures of these weird ass trees.
You guys are crazy.
We like trees.
I love trees. It's just
So don't call us crazy.
you're crazy.
Keep going. What happened?
A
next?
couple she had been acquainted with, Lester and Betty Likens, were working with a traveling carnival in Florida.
Lester or Luster?
Lester.
Okay.
Luster
I heard you
Likens.
say
Lester and
Luster in
Betty
my mind,
Likens.
and I was like, what a weird name. I'm
Just
not that
Lester.
Lester is
Lester
any better.
Likens.
Lester's Possum
Lester
Park.
might actually be worse.
Right. Let's not be
Lester
mean.
the molester.
After Betty got busted for shoplifting. Okay. Okay, a couple she had been acquainted with, Lester and Betty Likens, were working with a traveling carnival in Florida. After Betty got busted for shoplifting, their daughters, Sylvia and her sister Jenny, who was 17, moved into the home of Gertrude Baniszewski. The girl's father, Lester, agreed to pay Gertrude $20 per week to board his daughters with her.
Wait,
which
so she had her 7 kids plus his 2
plus
kids?
the 2.
That's ridiculous.
And at this
Jeez.
point, her oldest daughter was, I think, 17.
And
Yeah.
wait, why couldn't Lester take care of his
So,
2 children?
Lester's wife, Betty, got...
Was arrested for shoplifting.
So she went to jail, and Lester didn't. I guess he couldn't take care of his daughters because he was working for the carnival. So he just had Gertrude take care of them while Betty was in jail.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
at least
gonna.
he paid
I
for them,
okay.
right?
$20
$20 a week. He had paid Gertrude to take care of his 2 daughters, 2 teenage daughters.
$10
Let's see.
a head. Here you go.
He told her the girls needed firm discipline and encouraged Gertrude to straighten them out. Gertrude's eldest child, Paula, was 17 and pregnant at the time, her youngest being the baby, Dennis Jr. Neighborhood children frequently hung out at her place, and Baniszewski was a heavy drinker and would give the neighborhood kids beer and cigarettes. Occasionally, the boarding money came late, which angered Gertrude, so she took out her hostility on the Likens girls. Eventually, she began focusing solely on Sylvia. She would beat Sylvia relentlessly and began encouraging her own children to follow suit. The other neighborhood kids would also join in the torture. Baniszewski covered up these crimes by saying Sylvia had taken off on her own and would show a fake runaway note as proof when questioned. Gertrude kept her tied up in the basement. She and the children starved her, burned her with cigarettes, and scalded her with boiling water. They would cut the teenager and rub salt in her wounds. As the torture progressed, it became more violent, and they began raping and sodomizing Sylvia with glass bottles and other objects they found. They also yeah. And these are like children doing this to her because their mom said,
Because Mother
was fine.
Goose over there was like,
Yeah.
hey, let's do this.
yeah, it was really disturbing.
She doesn't have like a background in being violent, though, does she?
No,
Sylvia-
I mean,
did it just start?
Yeah, I mean, it was just more of like she had a really shitty childhood. Her dad died. She had a shitty. She had a shitty, couple marriages. Like, I think she was just like an angry, heavy drinker. Like,
Wow.
so I guess her being
So she
drunk
was
all
like,
the time.
Here's a fun game, kids.
Yeah, she's probably just taking out all of her frustrations on her own
Frustrations, yeah.
life on this girl. They also forced her to eat her own feces.
Oh, God.
Gertrude took a glowing hot needle and began carving the words, "I am a prostitute and proud of it," into Sylvia's midsection. She ordered the job to be finished by her son, who was 15 years old, and her own 10-year-old daughter. Oh, no, I'm sorry, her son's 15-year-old friend. So this was just like a neighborhood kid that she had told to finish carving these words into her midsection.
I feel like I've heard this before because I remember that the carving.
really?
I'm a prostitute and proud of it.
I don't remember. I'd never heard of this story before then.
Okay, keep going.
And her 10-year-old daughter helped do that as well. The kids took it upon themselves to further brand her chest with a hot iron poker. On October 25th, Sylvia attempted to escape the house. Baniszewski caught her by the front door. Furious, Gertrude scalded her with boiling water and beat her badly. On October 26th, 1965, Sylvia died the next day from a brain hemorrhage, shock, and malnutrition. And when police showed up, Gertrude told police a group of boys, in quotes, had shown up several days earlier, dragged Sylvia off, and returned her in supremely violated condition. Fortunately, Jenny Likens, who was Sylvia's sister, managed to whisper to the officers while they were there, "Get me out of here and I'll tell you everything." And they did. In May of 1966, Gertrude went to trial, pleading innocent of all charges, denying any knowledge and participation in her death. She was found guilty of first-degree murder, originally sentenced to life in prison without parole. On appeal, there was a second trial, and she was sentenced to 18 years to life in prison. Paula Baniszewski, Gertrude's 17-year-old daughter who subjected Sylvia to some of the worst abuse, got life in prison for second-degree murder. And it didn't ever say anything about her baby because she was pregnant, so I'd never read anything on that.
That little girl was probably pretty smart for doing that because she might have been next.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Jenny? Yeah.
Yeah.
How old
Sylvia's,
was Jenny?
Well,
they were both
16,
older. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But she was smart.
But she knew to say that. The three minors who were also arrested, including Gertrude's two sons, each did 2 years in reformatory. So I guess that's just like
2 years for raping and
juvie.
sodomizing people and cutting them and
killing
rubbing
them.
salt into their wounds.
Yeah.
And, that's...
I don't know how they can come back from that.
Well, how did they come? It happened in the 60s, right?
all it
Are they
said.
Anywhere now?
I would have to look it up.
Not
I did
now,
not.
but they're probably old men or dead.
Or dead. Gertrude spent her incarceration at the Women's State Correctional Center in Indiana. She was paroled on December 4th, 1985, after 19 years of imprisonment. She changed her name to Nadine Van Fossen, using her maiden name. She moved to Iowa. The house where Sylvia suffered and died was demolished on April 23rd, 2009. Gertrude Baniszewski lived out her last days almost as a recluse in obscurity. She died 5 years after her release at the age of 61 from lung cancer in 1990. And actually, you probably have heard this story, and I actually made a little list of all of the movies or books that were based around the facts of this story.
It reminds me of the story of Teresa Knorr, like it's spelled like Knor.
Oh. What is that one?
It's about a mom that does it to her own children. She killed two of her 6 children or something.
Damn. Well, it
reminds me it's a very similar story. I heard it on a friend's podcast. Killer Queens.
Shout out. A movie that was based around it was An American Crime, and that had Ellen Page and Catherine Keener in it.
Oh, I wanted to see that. I never saw it.
So that's based around the facts of this. Also, there's an episode on ID Channel, Born Bad, that featured this story.
Born Bad.
Born Bad. That's what the show is called. And then 2 books were House of Evil, The Indiana Torture Slang by John Dean, and The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. So all those stories were based around this. So it's really sad.
That's a very sad story.
And then their mom gets out of jail.
Yeah,
and
how did the parents react to something like that?
I don't know. I couldn't find anything about where Jenny ended up going. But I would assume not back with her parents, but I don't know.
So was the only person that they tortured was Sylvia?
Yeah.
They didn't her sister got off scot-free.
in the beginning, no. She never helped, but she was beat and stuff.
She was an accessory.
Yeah.
Not letting it happen.
Well,
As
I'm sure they
16-year-old,
would've,
what can you do?
Done the same shit to her if she would have tried to say anything or help her sister at all. But yeah, it was just Sylvia. They just decided to pick her. And then they just tied her up in the basement at some. They were like starved her, and
Did any of the children like get in trouble for it?
her 2 sons,
That was it.
and then her daughter got life in prison. But then the other ones were just
Like
off.
and like the neighbor kids that did it. Like I wonder what happened to
One
them.
of the neighborhood kids, the one I think the 15-year-old that helped carve into her
that one.
midsection got sent to a reformatory.
It's just
So,
crazy.
It's like juvie.
Yeah, you would. I hope that like the other children.
How do you
How do
get
you
out
come
of
back
that?
from that?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, there's not enough therapy.
No.
Honestly, I think that I would end up just going to Alaska and living, on some fucking little coast town and not talking to anybody. I mean, you can't live in society.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like animalistic,
Well, and, like that's their normal.
Yeah. They've already
So-
seen like some of the worst shit in their whole life. Yeah. It was really
Messed
sad.
up.
Ugh.
So anyway, that was it.
Well, I thought it might be a good idea to go through and thank all the people who have left us reviews and maybe read out some of
Yes.
our favorites.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because we appreciate
let's bring it back
literally
up.
all of them.
Let's bring on the love.
Yeah.
Yes, queen.
All right. So,
Can you believe?
what?
I said, can you believe?
Oh,
Jonathan from Queer Eye.
I'm
Haven't
sorry.
seen it.
I'm sorry.
Like the
I've seen
one.
it a couple times, but I don't get the reference because I haven't seen all of them.
Well, then you should fix that.
Maybe
all right,
I
go ahead.
will. All right. So, okay. We've got a review from Nash Mama, who I'm assuming is someone who lives in Nashville and is a mother. She says, "These girls are seriously funny. I could listen to them all day. I'm literally laughing out loud in my office right now.
Literally LOL.
Literally LOL. and-
LOL.
I enjoy that very much. So thank you so much, Nash Mama.
Ooh, I just read 3 of these that are my favorite. Can I read them?
Yeah.
Because I haven't actually gone
Yeah.
on here and read them, and I'm really excited. Okay, number 1. Extra Honey Butter said, best part of my Tuesdays. Seriously, I love this. Amanda was always an interesting one.
All right.
You are
Interesting.
interesting.
That could go many
so
ways.
it must be
though.
someone from your childhood that is like, she turned out exactly how I thought she would.
I love that.
And then I have another one from C Holly 92, and they said, if the Powerpuff Girls was a podcast, it'd be called Pop, Crime, and Wine, made of sugar, spice, and everything nice. Ironically, also starts in a nice, innocent place and gets into dark and deep convo real quick. So yeah, check it out because you're missing out if you haven't.
Oh my
That's
god.
a really good one.
Thanks,
Wait,
C.
so
Holly.
if we were the Powderpuff Girls, wait, Powderpuff?
Power. We're not
Oh.
like
Powerpuff.
What's Powerpuff?
Shut the fuck up. You
Wait,
don't know what
I
the
thought it was
Powerpuff Girls are?
Powderpuff.
No,
oh
that's
wait,
if you play
we do
football and you're a
Powderpuff football,
girl.
but I know what Powerpuff. I thought Powerpuff was Powderpuff. Give me a second. So if we were the Powerpuff Girls, which one would it be? I get to be the redhead, right?
Yeah.
And
I'd
then
be
you'd
the dark
the
one.
blonde one, and
And
I
you'd
could
be
be
the
the
dark
blonde.
one. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
The bubbly one.
I'm
Yeah.
Bubbles. Yeah, you're
I'm
Bubbles.
Yes.
Bubbles.
I don't remember.
Oh, and
The
the, dark one
green.
is she's
Yeah.
the evil one.
Oh,
She's
she is.
so good.
You're
I
definitely the
know.
evil
I
one.
get it. I'm terrible. I'm a bad person.
What is it? Buttercup.
Buttercup.
is
Buttercup.
brown.
And then
Blossom. You're
Blossom. I like it.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And then the other one that I really liked was This is Dan Jones, and he said, I have to say I'm really enjoying this podcast. The 3 hosts have a great dynamic, and it is one of those shows that got my attention by the subject matter, pop culture, true crime, and randomness. But the natural chemistry and laid-back storytelling of these 3 made me really like it.
Aw,
Thanks,
that's no
really
relation, by
nice.
the way. That's no relation to me.
No, I cut his hair.
Oh, I was like, I don't know who that Jones is.
Yeah, he might be related to you.
No,
you don't
Could
know.
possibly.
No.
All the Jones in the world are
No.
related somehow,
He's
right?
in the same town that your husband is from. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
could potentially.
Then maybe.
There was also a really well-written one that I read, and I was just like, someone actually took the time to write
Aw.
this for us. It was from someone named Courtney KK, and she said, sincerely, this podcast has been a blessing. I've been waiting for a podcast like MFM, which is my favorite murder, forever. And now I have found it. These three ladies light up my ears. And it's funny how each of them sounds like a different part of our country. Seriously, they're a true America grab bag.
Oh my God. Hashtag America grab bag.
I mean that in the best way
good.
possible. I love when they joke around with each other. You can tell they are real life friends.
But we're really not.
We hate
Sorry,
each other.
Courtney.
We're not friends at all. I would recommend this podcast to anyone who is looking to feel like they're part of a conversation and also loves a little true crime. Keep up the good work, ladies.
Oh,
How
that is
nice is
so
that?
sweet.
I just love it.
Yeah, so
America grab bag. Grab bag.
it's real good.
It's real good. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we really
yeah.
appreciate all the feedback. And so if you've made it through all of these reviews and
We
you're
applaud
still
you.
listening, that means you like us. And you should go into your podcast app and you should leave us a review.
You want to like us.
You want to
review
marry us.
Well, I was trying to make it a thing.
I know. But they also probably want to marry us. So it's
Too bad
fine.
we're already married.
We're already hitched up.
We don't live in Utah.
Polygamy is illegal everywhere.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh. So this has been a fun day of speaking with all of you.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for letting us speak with you.
We appreciate you. Please,
Speak at you.
if you want to let us know anything, email us at popcrimewine@gmail.com.
Leave us a review, please.
So
Tell
we
your
can read
friends.
yours.
What?
So we can read yours out loud. Next.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Also, our social media, Pop Crime and Wine, all across the board.
Yep.
Instagram, the Twitter,
The Twitter.
the
Tweet at
Facebook.
us.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
See you next Tuesday.
That was weird.
I went low like Taylor. I tried to be seductive.
Oh, sorry.
Sexually.
And I went real See you next Tuesday.
Turn it off.